Chosen ones, empaths. This video is probably going to cause some controversy. Maybe some of you might not understand what I'm saying, but you need to understand what a hoover really is. Many of you get discarded and you're waiting for the narcissist to say that they're wrong, that they shouldn't have done it, and you know, hit out with you with a declaration of love. And although I'm not going to rule that out, that is possible, that is plausible, that some narcissists do that, because I've heard of that. I've read it in the comment section. I've spoken to survivors of narcissistic abuse, and that has happened to them. But the most likely scenario is narcissists don't tend to do that because they're stubborn. And what I want you to understand is that the hoover is a temperament checker. That's basically what a hoover is. Even if they're coming with a declaration of love, it's still a temperament checker to assess where you are at, to assess how you respond, right? And that's why I want you to understand that when you get discarded and blocked, that very block is a hoover. It's a temperament checker. It's assessing how you respond, right? And most likely what happens to many of you is when you get blocked, you think, oh my God, like, understandably, I get why you would feel like that, because this is someone that you cared about or you loved or was close to you, you know, or all of the above. They were close to you, loved them, you cared about them. So when you receive a block, it's shocking, right? And that's exactly why the narcissist is doing it. They're shocking your system. They want you to put you through worry and grief. And they assess how you respond, you know? Now, as narcissists do, even if you have been blocked, it's highly likely that the narcissist doesn't block you on all outlets. And what many victims of narcissistic abuse will do is, because they're blocked, say, on social media, they'll phone a narcissist. Or because they're blocked on the phone, they'll contact them on social media or through email, or they'll contact them through one way, right? Because the narcissist will leave one gateway open, right? Now, I'm warning you, none of you should head down that road, right? You shouldn't head down the road that they've left open. They're baiting you. They deliberately leave it open because they want to know what you're going to say, right? And then from that, they'll gauge their assessment. And also, even you just reaching out after they blocked you, you know, that also gives them an indication to how you're feeling. You know, if you're reaching out, if you're trying to contact them. Also, if you block them immediately after as well, that also gives an indication that you're in your feelings. Personally, I'm going to say something, right, that many of you probably don't agree with. Actually, before I go on to that, look, many of you probably don't agree that the hoover the block is a hoover, right? Many of you probably don't agree that the block is a hoover. And what you need to understand is that it is a deliberate hoover. It's a temperament checker. And I'm going to say another controversial thing now that many of you might not agree with. And actually, in some cases, it depends on the scenario, but in majority of cases, right, unless the narcissist is causing you a threat or danger, or really, even if they're causing you a threat or danger, what I'm trying to say to you is blocking the narcissist, right? I don't think it's a good idea to block the narcissist. I understand that some of them might become, you know, deranged, dangerous, and you need to block them. That's totally understand and justified. But for those of you that are not experiencing that, and you've just acted in response to them blocking you, right? Now, look, like, what I'm trying to say is, I totally get the blocking, right? But what I think that does to you, to any of you that are, look, for example, if there's any of you that a part of you wants to hear from the narcissist again, okay? If you want to hear from the narcissist again, right, then that's why I don't think that blocking answers what you want. That's a better way to put it, right? That's a better way to put it. To stay informed on topics like these, subscribe to the channel. If you want to shed some light on a personal situation, book a one-to-one session. I do all countries and time zones. Join the Empath group meeting coming up. Links for all I've mentioned in the description box below. Like, I'm not saying, like, if you see, because the thing is narcissists will often, they will reach out, you know. Narcissists will often reach out. So if you put the block on, you don't know about it. You see what I mean? Right? And the reason why I say don't block is because, you know, even if you're going to ignore them, you know, even if you're going to ignore them, right? It's just a personal thing that I do. I don't block anyone, right? I don't think there's a point. I think it puts a restriction. Please understand what I'm trying to, the point that I'm trying to get across. Take what you can from it, disregard the rest. Everyone's got their own ways of doing things. I'm just saying that when you put the block on the narcissist, you're restricting yourself in a kind of way. And I totally, like I said in the earlier segment, I totally get those of you that need to put blocks. It has to be done. But for those of you that were in a place, even if initially you were just in a place, right, momentarily, you were hoping to hear from the narcissist, or you wanted to hear what they had to say, or you wanted to hear the resolution to an argument or a disagreement. But because they blocked you, you just acted on a whim and blocked them back. That leaves your mind not processing it. You're in the unknown situation. And what I'm saying is, by delaying putting the block on, even delaying, right, just not putting the block on, right, for a period of time, allows you to go through that process. And, you know, if they don't reach out, it shows, doesn't it? You know what I'm saying? The narcissist doesn't reach out. You know, you've had a disagreement. They've blocked you. You don't block them, and it goes, a couple of days go by, a week goes by, a month goes by. They don't contact you. A couple of months go by, they don't contact you. Year goes by, they don't contact you. You see what I'm saying? It takes you through a transition period where it shows exactly what they are. That they haven't even reached out to give you closure. They haven't reached out to, you know what I'm saying? But if you put that block on, you don't prepare your mind to go through those stages. I'm not saying that you're waiting there for, like, at their beck and call, like, you know, you're waiting on them calling you, or you're waiting on them contacting you. You get to a place where you don't care, you won't contact them. You know, if you're being bothered or annoyed, or, you know, they're really, you know, doing all this deranged stuff to you and you can't cope, then obviously you need to put blocks on. But if the narcissist has just withdrawn, they've discarded you and gone silent, I don't think it's necessary to put a block on. You see what I mean? It's not necessary, right? Like, the narcissist will know, even if you don't put the block on, the longer that they leave it, they get into a place where they know they can't just contact you. They have a, you know, give them a mental block to deal with. And I should have probably said that earlier. Give them a mental block to deal with. You know, an actual mental, psychological block where you're the one staying calm. I should have probably said this earlier, so you got my point for those of you that are tuned out. But, like, you're just staying calm. You're unemotional. You know, you're stoic. You're not just blocking and tit for tat, and you're just playing it cool. You know, you're not phased. You see what I mean? Because they'll interpret you doing anything, right? You doing anything. If a narcissist blocks you and you reach out, or a narcissist blocks you or does some way of, like, indicating they're pulling away or anything, and you chase after them, you know, it doesn't do you any favors, you know? And that's why, you know, I totally get those of you that are hurt. You reach out, you try and contact them, you want to solve this. It's understandable. You go through that process. But this video might come across someone that is at the initial period and will hear that they don't need to go down that route, and they'll learn from your mistakes and people's mistakes of reaching out to the narcissist after they've been discarded and blocked. You know, you'll learn from that mistake. So hopefully there's someone out there that can benefit from that. And those of you that have reached out or have pursued after them, you've just got to take it as what it is. You wasn't at a point of awakening that you're at now, right? So you were still trying, you had the savior empath streak in you. You were trying to fix things. You were trying to resolve things. that's what, it's understandable. But you've got to understand that this hoover that they done to you, the initial, I keep calling it the hoover. The block that they done to you, the initial block that they done to you is the hoover. You know, it is the hoover. It's assessing how you respond. So if they block you, you don't say nothing. You leave them to it, right? You leave them to it, and they leave a certain, they block you on the phone, but they leave their social media open. The narcissist is going to be playing game. It's going to have some they're going to be doing some loops in their mind, right? Because their notifications are going to go off on their social media, and they're going to be hoping it's you, or they're going to be anticipating it's going to be you. And when it's not you, right? When it's not you reaching out, you're not giving them closure neither. You see what I mean? If you block them, right, that's the finale. It's done with. They can't contact you, you can't contact them, it's finale. But you can play a psychological game where you leave the block off, right? And you don't contact them through the other outlets that they leave open. So they start going through, the fade and effects bias, the very thing that they were getting angry about you for and stuff like that starts to fade. They're getting notifications going off on their social media or their email or their phone or whichever one you've been blocked on. They're getting notifications on the other outlets, and they're anticipating it's going to be you. They're hoping it's going to be you. They thought it was going to be you, because that's what they gauged, that if they block you, you're going to reach out to them, So if you don't, it's the power's in your hands, They don't through the time, the narcissist that was involved in your life has discarded you, so they've got all angry or emotional and crazy and done a discard. That's the way you need to look at it. You don't need to get caught up in your feelings about it. This is an unstable individual. They've come with a discard. They're very unstable. They've put blocks on. They're very emotional right now. So leave them to it. Keep calm. If you can really master that early on, there's nothing they can do. They can't touch you. And for those of you that have reached out or tried to, you just got to take it as what it is. You tried your best, and they'll learn to regret not reasoning with you or getting in a dialogue with you, when you tried to reach out and you tried and attempted. And the fact of the matter is, now you can put in place that you're not going to reach out no longer. You're not going to contact them. You're going to leave them to it. And they've got physical, psychological restraints on their mind. Right, that's what they're going through the process of, because they put the block on. Do you know how many times narcissists put blocks on and take blocks off? That's what they do. They take blocks off, and that's another hoover. So the block is a hoover. So if taking off a block can be a hoover, what do you think the block in the first place is? It's all to assess you. They won't take the block off and reach out to you. They'll take the block off and see if you notice. I've heard this from victims of narcissistic abuse in one-to-one sessions that I run. They take the block off and they anticipate you reaching out. And as the victim of narcissistic abuse, it's highly likely you're still watching or you're checking, and you notice that you're unblocked. And if you fall into the trap and reach out to them again, then they know that it's been X amount of time. They haven't contacted you, they've took the block off, and you've been watching their profile, or you've been watching their account, or you've been searching for their account to see if you can find it. And then you found it. I don't know how these work on social media. I think it was, Instagram. I don't think you can find accounts if you're blocked, but if you're unblocked, then you can find the account. I think it's like that on Facebook as well, because Facebook and Instagram are just run by the same thing. I'm not that well versed on social media, but I hope you understand the gist of what I'm trying to say. This is the type of things they'll do. So if you reach out after, it's all a game with them. The blocking's a game. It's a hoover. It's a temperament checker. The unblocking's a game. It's a hoover. It's a temperament checker. You know, this is an emotional outburst they're having. The discard was an emotional outburst, you know, an emotional outburst from them, you know, and it's up to you to remain stoic, calm, remain chill. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't let it phase you. Don't get in your feelings. Don't be shot down. You know, someone walks out your life, someone cuts you off, someone discards you, it's their loss. That's the way you need to view things. You know what I'm saying? If anyone walks out of my life, you know, it's your loss. I'm not saying I'm the best thing in the world, but I know what I can provide for someone. So if anyone walks out of my life or wants nothing to do with me, then it's their loss. I don't care. And I want all of you to adopt that mindset. You know what I mean? Like, really ingrain it in yourself. You know, it's your loss. You know, they've lost out on a chance with you. You're not a reject. You're not an outcast. You know, they've lost out on a chance at life with you. You know, and that's their loss. They're not going to find another empath. They're not going to find another chosen one for as long as they search. And you know, countless times how I've reinforced about how they will have fade and effect bias. They will have dumper's remorse. They'll go through these things, you know, and that's why hoovers come after years apart, months apart. There's no exact timeline, but hoovers, you know, actual, you know, baiting attempts from them, you know, messages or things like this happen after long time apart. You know, they do this. They make fake accounts. They do all of these things, you know, and they're the very one that discarded you. They're the very one that blocked you. So you've got all that to come. Those of you that haven't had an actual, you know, direct hoover, you know, these are all indirect hoovers. What I'm talking about, the taking off the blocking in the first place. You know, you just got to leave them to it because they're in an emotional state. They're very unstable. You know, when they're doing that type of stuff, you were someone that they had a serious relationship with, you know, and they didn't have the decency to talk things through to you, with you. They didn't have the decency to just express themselves, you know, be transparent. They didn't have the decency to do that. You know, I don't have time for people like that. People that are functioning on that frequency. I totally get those of you that might need to just discard the narcissist. I mean, cut the narcissist off, not talk to them. That's because you're going for abuse. But the narcissist doing it to you is unjust. It's unfair. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't deserve them treating you in that way, right? You didn't deserve them treating you in that way, but it's happened, you know? It's happened, and you have to deal with it, and you have to be unemotional, be stoic, and show no resistance. Just let them go and get on with it, and interpret the message that I said about if anyone walks out of your life, it's their loss. You have to understand your own importance and self-love and value and self-worth. Right? You have to know how much you're worth. You're not a reject. You're not an outcast. This narcissist is deranged. They're having an emotional outburst, you know, and that's why, you know, they will. Do you know how many times I've heard from victims of narcissistic abuse about the narcissist taking the block off? Don't even be there looking for them when they take the block off. You know what I'm saying? Don't keep searching and searching to see if they take the block off. It will happen, you know, and when they take the block off and you don't even notice, you know, and then you don't reach out, they're anticipating your every move. You know, when they put the block on, they anticipated your move, that you're going to reach out. You know, they block you on the phone. They anticipated you were going to reach out by email, you know, or social media. They blocked you on social media, they anticipated you're going to reach out on the phone. They go through the whole process of notifications going off on the device, on the outlet that they left open. They go through the whole process of waiting for your message. They still want to hear what you have to say, you know. It's a temperament checker. They're just assessing you, you know, and you go through that whole process. You're in a place of hurt. You're in a place of grief. But this is why it's always better to be discarded, because you go through that grief suddenly. You hit your lowest point at that moment in time. And from onwards, it's upwards and onwards from then on. Obviously, you have ups and downs, but I mean, it gets easier through time. You learn how to deal with it. You know, they get, you know, several weeks down the road, they start regretting. They have fade and effect bias kicking in. Look into the fade and effect bias. They have dumper's remorse. They have all of these things that they start going through, You know, it's a lot easier to be on the receiving end of a discard than it is to be the one who's cutting someone off or discarding someone. It's so much easier. And I've spoken to victims of narcissistic abuse that have done the cutting off from the narcissist in their life, and they struggle to actually maintain it. They let them back in. They, you know, these sorts of things. This is what happens, you know. So just understand this block that you're experiencing. Don't worry about it. Don't panic about it. You know, they're really deranged. You know, they're having an emotional outburst. And like I said, many of you might find it controversial, but as I said, sometimes it's necessary to put blocks on narcissists, right? If you're in danger, they're bothering you, they're annoying you, they're becoming an annoyance. You know, sometimes you have to put them on. But if they're playing some silent treatment game and stuff like this, then it's not really necessary. You don't really need to put a resistance on it. I think that you should let them go through the psychological, mental block that they face. You know, them realizing and coming to terms with the fact that they've done this through their own doing. Now they can't talk to you through their own doing. They don't have the right to reach out to you. They don't have the right to comment on your social media. They don't have the right to call your phone. They don't have the right to do none of that. They feel unworthy. You know, they know they don't have the right. And that's why you'll get some indirect hoover from a fake profile or something like that. That's what you want to put them in the mind state of, right? Because of how valuable you are, right? They know they have no right to contact you no more. The deal's done. You're not going to engage with them because they walked out of your life and it's their loss. You know, that's the mindset you need to have. So anyway, enhance your experience. Get access to exclusive unseen videos and personal video requests. There's a 3-day free trial and can be cancelled at any time by going to your account page. Thanks for listening today. Please press the like and the subscribe button. If you want to donate, you don't have to, but if you'd like to support the channel, you can. Links in the description box below. For more narcissism-based content, check out our other channel. Links in the description box. Please visit the forums. One of them is Tips to Heal, and I'd love to find out what helps you on your journey. Please book a healing session with me if you need advice or some light shed on your situation. The Empath Monthly group meeting is coming up at the end of the month. Limited space is available. There's a WhatsApp group for survivors to stay in touch. I'm also doing email consultations if you need a plan of action. The links for all I've mentioned are in the description box below. If you'd like to know more about the narcissists mess their life up and they know it, click this video here. So anyway, I'll be back with another video soon. Peace.